waiter, young lady, walked over with a drink for me and a business card. And this business card said, Captain Sidney Hynes, Balder, offshore. I said, I don't think I know that person. Anyway, over he comes, and he said, I know you. You were paving the road down in Harbour Breton, and my father had a dump truck and he worked with you. And this was it. And anyway, we had a few more drinks, and by that time we were buddies, and that was the start of a business relationship.
It was in the spring of 1980. We'd been awarded a diving support contract for Petro-Canada for the provision of 1 atmosphere submersibles. And they were going to be housed on and deployed from a vessel called the Balder Cabot. And so the Balder Cabot came to St. John's, and I went on board to introduce myself and to meet the captain. And the captain turned out to be the very young and dynamic Sidney Joseph Hynes. A typical captain, he was very direct, was not afraid to order people around, and I thought we were going to get along pretty good.
I met Sid Hynes about 10 years ago at the Institute, and he's been the chair of our Industry Advisory Board for a long period of time. And he's very good at taking very complex situations, boiling it down to what the key issues are, and then how we're going to fix them. He's not always patient when you got to fix them. He really likes to get things done.
This guy came in and just brought the boat right along the quay, just beautiful docking and in great control of the boat. So anyway, I boarded the vessel, went up to the bridge and do my duties, and this young boy, yes, boy at the time I think would be appropriate, came out, and so I asked, where's the captain? And he said, that's me. I was a little taken aback, but the mates and the other crew members were responding to him. From that moment on, I just had a great appreciation for the guy and his skill and his personality and command of the vessel, really.
Our first venture, I think, was when we bid on the freight service to Labrador, and we won the bid. Of course, we never had a boat.
Aha, me boys, if you lie there.
I learned that very quickly. I learned how good Sid was at what he did. We worked with him for about 1.5 years on the Balder Cabot. And when the Ocean Ranger sank in 1982, on the Balder Cabot we had the only mobile diving capability anywhere in the area, and it was very important, of course, to mobile and to everybody to try and find out what had happened. So under Sid's guidance, we found where the Ocean Ranger was and did an initial survey. His work was so good that when we won the contract from the Royal Commission to carry out the diving survey of the Ocean Ranger later that summer of '82, and I insisted that we use a diving support vessel similar to the Balder Cabot, and I insisted that Sid be the captain, and in fact he was. We were going to put divers under considerable risk, and I wanted to make certain that the vessel's master was capable of doing the job of keeping the vessel where it should be under whatever the conditions were, and I knew that Sid could do that. So that's the first kind of indication that I had of the power of his capabilities.
Sid believes that a Newfoundlander is just as good as anybody, and if he's not trained, his brain is still good and he can be trained. And all of these fishermen who are unemployed as a result of the moratorium still had lots of brains. They didn't have the training.
One of the things that Sid did, which was unique, was shuttle tankers need a crew of people who have high skills. It's a fairly risky business. And Sid realized that that's the same kind of skills that were resident in folks who manned the offshore trawler fleet in Newfoundland.
It was a stroke of genius, I guess, to identify the need of the industry to have experienced seamen. There are some unique environmental considerations with regards to working offshore Newfoundland, that these people are natural. These fishermen have worked on that for many, many years, and Sid identified that really quickly.
And so what he did was he sat down with the Fishermen Food and Allied Workers Union and negotiated a collective agreement to have the former fisher people provide crewing services on the shuttle tankers.
The fishing industry was having a downturn in the offshore sector, and at that point in time we initiated a training program in a partnership with the union, Canship Uglan, and the Marine Institute, where we trained approximately 150 former offshore fisheries workers for jobs on the offshore shuttle tankers.
So to take these experienced rough weather seamen and put them on a larger vessel and train them to manage in that type of now new environment in the oil and gas sector was easily accepted by these people. Sid recognized that ability of the people to do that. And so the success is obvious in the operation of those vessels and the safety record those vessels have had throughout their operations.
He has a broad range of knowledge. As I said, he's qualified, fully qualified sea captain, master mariner. I'm sure he's a qualified diesel engineer at all the parts that are on ships. He knows about human relations and unions and dealing with every kind of business. He fully understands accounting and balance sheets, and he can pick that stuff apart. He has a vast knowledge which he's acquired over a lifetime.
The industry has certainly evolved and changed, but Captain Hynes has changed as well. If you look at the careers, because he's had several successful careers. Immediately after he left the offshore diving support vessel field, he went to work for Transport Canada for a while as a ship inspector. I think he found that interesting, but not quite challenging enough. And so with a couple of local businessmen, he got involved in the startup of a shipping company called Canship, and they won the contract to provide freight services to coastal Labrador.
Now Mel Woodward from Labrador, he had the Astron, but he had also bid on it. After much negotiation, he sold us the boat, and we started the service. And we had it for 22 years. It made us a fine lot of money, and that was it. And of course, then I know we sold it afterwards back to Mel Woodward, and he has it now. So, and has been making money every year since.
Fast forward then to about 1994, 95, when Hibernia was in the process of being developed. There was obviously going to be a need for shuttle tankers to transport the crude. Sid, having been in the shipping business and knew the offshore business, was able to form and forge a relationship with a company called Uglan out of Norway. And obviously, Canship Uglan went on to become, and still are today, very successful as the operator of the shuttle tanker fleet.
He needs to know how it works, why it works, and he's one of the brighter guys I've met. He's got a great way of taking a lot of information and boiling it down to what the key issues are. But he's also fascinated by technology, whether that's how to catch a fish more effectively using light or sound, or whether it's turning on his lights remotely from 10 miles away. He's a technologist at art, but a very good manager as well.
Fast forward again, Sid had an opportunity to join the board of Marine Atlantic. And just after he joined the board, they had a management change and they were left without a president. So for 2 years, he filled the role of president of Marine Atlantic in a very, very demanding position. Fast forward again, Sid called me one time 3 or 4 years ago. He had been offered an opportunity to have an interview with OceanX. They were looking for a chief executive officer, but he had set a condition that if they wanted him to run it, he would move the head office to Newfoundland rather than in Montreal. So he pondered that for a little while, and about 3 weeks later he called me. He said, "Max," he said, I'd still like that job, but it needs to be done here. So he said, "I've been thinking about it, and I've figured out a way to buy the company."
Sid went on to get a group of investors and take over OceanX. I understand he's got a big new ship worth $100 million on order, going great guns. So that's Sid. He's tenacious, and he's a force to be reckoned with. So anyone who wants to go in business and compete with Sid better be prepared.
And so what he's going to do next, nobody knows, but there will be something.
Most people are on the water all the time. They come back to go to their cabin. Well, Sid's cabin or house is on the water, and when he's not on the water for work, he's on the water for pleasure.
Out on the bay with his boat, working with his friends, and he even in catching fish, he has a science he has to apply to it. He has to think about how best to catch the fish. What's the right gear? What's the right water? How to use the technology on my boat to catch those fish. There's nothing ever simple about just catching a fish.
He has a very fine family. He's a family man, fine family. His wife, Bernice, is an angel. She had to be to put up with Sid all these years. His son, Matthew, is another Sid, except he's got a milder manner. But he certainly has the brains.
He's a long-term relationship with Bernice, and they have a wonderful son, Matthew.
Bernice is such a supporter of Sid throughout, is just amazing. They worked as a team, but you can see the support that was there, the amount of time that Sid spent working for his various companies. Needed a good woman behind him. He's very fortunate now to have Matthew, his son, working with him, a very young man, a great achiever already. He's very blessed to have those two people supporting him throughout.
He is very much a Newfoundlander who's done well, but he hasn't forgot where he comes from, and he hasn't forgot that part of his role is assisting other people. He's been instrumental in, as I said before, with Marine Atlantic, with Canship Uglan, with Ocean X, in the early days with Coast Guard and things like that. So he's worked at all levels in the industry, and he's really positioned Newfoundland and Labrador, and through us and the job placements, a lot of people from Newfoundland and Labrador, to the point that now it's a major part of our economy and we have a large number of people working in that sector. He has been sort of that lead person in that sector for the past 20 or 30 years.
The face of the company and the management of the company and the people who work for the company, all Newfoundlanders, or nearly 100% Newfoundlanders. That was largely through the efforts of Sid Hynes. He's the one who cut the deal with the union to help train them. Sid made a great contribution in that respect.
He's very persuasive. When he puts together a plan, he has no difficulty in selling that plan to the audience that he's chosen to receive it. He's also totally committed to success, and that if that means he has to work 24/7, he'll work 24/7. So the combination of perception, dedication, and high intelligence are not always found together, but they certainly reside in Sid.
Sid's involvement directly in the oil and gas industry, as we know, goes back to his first time being a master of an offshore supply vessel. But his fostering of that industry and his skill sets demonstrated, whether it's being the master of a dive support vessel, being asked to demonstrate his skills in the operation of an ice-breaking vessel in Finland, because of the demonstration skills he's had here. The ability that he's had to bring along the Canship Uglan fleet and the many mentoring things that he's done for the supply boat industry and the design criteria that many of the naval architects will ask Sid in the design of vessels, how best to implement that type of application of these vessels for the offshore industry.
Sid Hynes is one of the smartest fellows I've ever met, and he's still only in his 50s, so God knows where he'll end up yet. I'm very happy very proud to have been associated with Sid all these years. And as a matter of fact, I'm proud that I was really the first one to recognize on the spot how good he was, and I wanted to be in business with him. And I'm very happy to tell you how good he is, and I congratulate him.
Sid, congratulations on the Outstanding Contribution Award. You've made a lot of contributions. The oil and gas industry is a very important one to this province, and your role in it, I'm very pleased to see that it's being recognized.
Sid, congratulations on this wonderful achievement that is extremely well deserved by yourself and shared with your family that have been so supportive of you.
Sid, I wasn't sure we were going to be doing this when we first met in the spring of 1980, but just having the opportunity to work with you over the years has been a great pleasure, a great privilege. We've done some difficult jobs together, and your skill sets and your dedication have always contributed in a large way to the success that we've enjoyed. So congratulations and enjoy your accomplishment.
I've sailed the world over for decades or more, and oftentimes I wonder what I do it for. I don't know the answer, it's pleasure and pain, but with life to live over, I'd do it again. Where it's wave over wave, sea over bow, I'm as happy a man as the sea will allow.